Matter movement has been at the center of many of these protests. I want to bring in Melina Abdullah, professor of Pan-African Studies at California State University in Los Angeles and an organizer for Black Lives Matter. Melina, thank you for your time this morning. As all of us were listening to the president just a few moments ago speaking out of Madrid, Spain, and he was asked about the tactics of Black Lives Matter and the movement. Here's what he said.
If we paint police in broad brush without recognizing that the vast majority of police officers are doing a really good job and are trying to protect people and do so fairly and without racial bias. If our rhetoric does not recognize that, then we're going to lose allies in the reform cause.
Melina, for those who say that the hand holding that paintbrush, painting, the broad strokes there in the hands of the Black Lives Movement, what would you say?
I would say that we really need to distinguish between an assessment of individual police officers and a system of policing. So our critique is really of the system of policing and seeking to fundamentally transform the policing system. We're not lodging individual complaints because we know that what's happening with the system of policing is actually bigger than the intent of individual officers. And so that's something that needs to be understood, that when we think about the system of policing, it evolved from a system of chattel slavery where individuals were used to be slave catchers, and that actually is the history of policing in this country. So what we're talking about is a redefinition of public safety, really thinking about how do we make communities safe in ways that don't assault and assail and brutalize and kill Black people. And so we want fundamental transformation for the policing system. We're not attacking any individual officers. We know that individual officers, many of them, their families love them, their parents, their husbands and brothers and daughters. That said, they are working for a system that is fundamentally oppressive, especially Black and poor communities.
But we have seen so many, as we're seeing now, look at these protesters as a result of the movement, fairly short-lived. Black Lives Movement hasn't been around in too many years. The sentiment there becomes an us versus them, and then the violence that we've seen is a result of that.
So the Black Lives Matter movement, Black Lives Matter as a network, was birthed almost exactly 3 years ago on July 13th, 2013, the day that George Zimmerman was acquitted in the killing of Trayvon Martin. And we hail from a legacy of Black freedom struggle. So the struggle against police brutality and police oppression is not a new struggle, it's new under the banner of Black Lives Matter. That said, what we've sought to do over the 3 years is really conceptualize ourselves as a movement rather than a moment. How do we transform a system that's embedded into the very fiber of this country? And so we're seeking not simple reform, but transformation of public safety and policing in this country. And so that's the work that we're seeking to do. We are fundamentally a peace movement. If we think about the work that we're doing, what we're saying is we do not want a violent system of policing that kills Black people with impunity. We want to transform our public safety system into one of peace, one that actually protects and serves and helps our communities, all of our communities, especially our Black communities, to grow and flourish and prosper.
Well, Melina, you're using words as far as peaceful transformation, peaceful reform, but you have to consider the wake of the killings. 5 police officers in Dallas, Texas. You have the New York Times reporting this, that Black Lives Matter now faces perhaps what they're calling the biggest crisis in its short history. So you're talking about the reform and transformation there, but what happened in Dallas, was that destructive to your movement?
Well, what I don't really understand is how the act of a single individual is now being pinned on a movement which that individual wasn't even a part of. And so it's really important
that we not do that. There are reports from the Washington Post and also from the shooter's Facebook link that he was interested in Black nationalist groups as well. The post on Facebook showed him with his fist up with the caption "Black Power." How do you distinguish that you are away and you are not associated with that as far as Black Lives Matter?
So it's really important that we not collapse those terms, right? So every white man with his fist up is not thought of as being a part of every single white organization or movement. A black man, simply because he has his fist up, is not necessarily a part of Black Lives Matter. In fact, folks who want to protest police brutality, we don't all kind of can't be collapsed and folded into a single movement. I think that what we're seeing with mass media is an attempt to say that we're in a moment of crisis. Black Lives Matter as a network and as a movement, I think we see ourselves as at a crossroads. We're seeing the building and the growth of the movement. Over the last week, we've had hundreds and thousands, hundreds of folks in Los Angeles and thousands of folks globally kind of really commit themselves to transforming the system. So I don't think we're in a moment of crisis. I think we're in a moment of growth and on the precipice of a even deepened commitment to transforming this world.
Melina Abdullah, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
All right, this is the second time that Frances Rivera is tried to pull some bullshit, okay? For her to say that, and to bring up that the Black Lives Matter is at a pivotal point is a bunch of crap. The man specifically said he was not part of any group. Okay, but now they've tried to tie him to the new Black Panther Party. That was Fox. Now it looks like MSNBC was trying to tie him to the Black Lives Matter movement, which he said he definitely wasn't a part of. So, you know, here she go. You know, this is the second time I've caught her. The first time I caught her was when she tried to pull some bullshit on Nina Turner, and Nina Turner put her in her place. Now this lady, you know, also put her in her place. She was, you know, she was nice about it, but I don't know what's going on with Frances Rivera. But the narrative that she's pushing is not something that I'm comfortable with as far as MSNBC is concerned.